iPod news, iPod observations, lightning adapters, FotoMagical 4, the magazine by Marco Arment, and 11.1 audio, now a thing. It's Friday, October 12th, 2012, and this is iWake. I'm Tim Chaten, and this is what's going on in the Apple world today. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of iWake. Tim here for another edition of the episode. My apologies for not having a show yesterday. I simply could not find enough news to talk about. It was a slow news day, and today's show is filled with all sorts of goodies. So let's dive into it with a fun topic for me, the iPod. We haven't had iPod news in a long time as far as being relevant, things like that for the general Apple news. But first up is the fact that Apple is now airing ads for the new commercial. The Bounce ad that premiered at the event where they debuted the iPod. It's now on TV and on their YouTube channel. Next up is just an observation I had today while using my iPod Shuffle. I observed that the Shuffle, for me, has become a way to rip CDs. I do not rip CDs anymore. I don't own CDs. And I noticed that, I have extra iPod Shuffles lying around that I am now using it to rip albums and rip CDs onto the Shuffle for a limited time and then swap it out with a different CD. So I'm finding this interesting use case where the iPod Shuffle has really become the CD-RW of the modern age, where just like a CD, it doesn't have a visual interface, you just hit play and it goes. And I'm finding that it's the new CD for me, and it's a cool thing that I've just observed. Next up is The Verge. They have reviewed both of the new iPods, and I've got some thoughts about their reviews, because quite frankly, the Nano review especially is not professional in my opinion the way it was conducted. So here's the Nano review in a Twitter post by Nilay Patel of The Verge. It is an iPod in a time of great strife. Now I had to look up the word strife. Strife means angry or bitter disagreement over fundamental issues. So he goes on to state that you want to listen to music on an iPod Nano, then you better get ready to open up iTunes and plug in the cable and transfer some hot, nasty files. It's like taking a time machine to 2010 before Apple itself started pushing everyone away from files and towards iCloud. If you're cool with managing files, the new Nano is the best dedicated music player on the market. It's the sort of product that only Apple can make, a seamless slice of metal and plastic that feels essentially inevitable once you hold it. When Phil Schiller introduced the smaller Lightning connector last month, he noted that so many of the things we used to do over the wire, now we do wirelessly. After listing Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, what did Schiller describe as best of all? Oh, that's right. With iCloud, we can download all of our content wirelessly. The new Nano might have Apple's connector of the future, but everything else, it clings to the past, to a world in which iTunes is still the center of the digital media universe, not a bloated relic badly in need of a fresh start and new ideas. So that is Nilay's thoughts, and that to me is a big slap in the face towards what an iPod actually is. Now, this Nilay guy is stating that Spotify, that streaming services are the only way to go for a music-dedicated device. And to me, I say that's false. That is completely wrong. I have been studying the iPod for a long time, and I've experienced music done streaming on my phone versus music on the iPod. And I'll tell you what, there is a different experience on the iPod. In my experience, a better one. One where you're in this pure environment of music that you pick out for the device. You pick your environment, that world you enter into, and that is the world you enter into with this world of music, the iPod world. And this is a world where you actually sync music to it. You have to select confine of music, which is a good restriction to have. Having every single album like you do on the iPhone, and the iPod Classic even, can be a distraction. I find, to me, the limited storage of the Nano, the original iPod Classic, to be a breath of life, to not be overwhelmed with every little thing, but to have, this is my subset of music that I want to have an experience with. I want to feel that music. I want to experience that. I want to escape in this world. I want to be distraction-free. I don't want games. I don't want distractions. I just want music. That is what the Nano is for. That is what it's graded out. And it's improved that by offering Bluetooth connectivity for headphones. It's improved that by having a bigger screen. The old Nano with way too small to actually scroll music pleasantly. And this new Nano is one of the best iPods yet because of all those things. It is leaps and bounds above the old Nano. The old Nano was a weird device. And this Nilay guy, I think, is a little bitter that his smartwatch never became a thing. I'll tell you what, Nilay, if Apple wanted to make a smartwatch, they would make a smartwatch. They wouldn't make an iPod that is sort of a watch. They would actually make it an iWatch. They would make their own device that kicked the butt of every other smartwatch out there. That's not what the iPod is for. The iPod is for music. And the Nano is one of the last true iPods out there. I do not want to see Apple destroy it with putting iOS on there by cluttering up with apps that distract me from the music experience. That's not what it's about. So, sorry for that little rant. I'm not sorry for the rant, but that was my rant about the iPod Nano. It's a special device, and I'm glad Apple continues to focus on music and continue to offer such a device. So, I should have mine sometime over this weekend, and it's in the mail, being shipped to me, so I'll have more thoughts on it when it comes. But anyways, Nilay Patel of The Verge, you are dead wrong. Dead wrong. Understand what an iPod is, and don't review it as a device that isn't a smartphone. Next up, the iPod Touch. This one got more favorable reviews in my eyes. A review that was more honest, I guess, as far as what it, reviewing it for what it is, not for what it is not. Basically, the big complaint they had with the Touch is price at $300. They felt it was too expensive. I say to that, it's a value proposition of this is a high-quality device, an iPhone alternative, per se, and probably worth the value. So that's my remark there. Next up is just the iPod manual. The iPod Nano manual is now available to download. I downloaded this and read through it last night. And a couple of notes here is they mention you can use the optional Apple EarPods with remote and mic to record voice memos on the iPod Nano. I asked the question to Apple, why not include the microphone version of the headset if the Nano as well as the Touch both have features that take advantage of that capability? Why limit it by doing that? I know the answer, but it's a sad answer. Next up, we discovered the play/pause button is included between the volume up and down buttons. So between the volume up and down buttons, that is now included. So that's a thing, and it's a cool thing. I'm sure it'll be customizable like the future one, like the last generation, do skip tracks, things like that. Next up, the last thing from the manual, I noted that you're able to go to the Now Playing screen by tapping twice on the home button. So when you double-click the home button, it'll take you to the Now Playing screen, which is, I think, a great feature. It really makes use of the home button and very iOS-like as well. Finally, with iPod news, a software update is available for version 1.0.1 of the new iPod Nano, and it basically says support for iPod Nano 7th generation. No other notes were made besides that one. So that is all, and that's just something to note there. Next up is some Lightning adapter news. Before we get to that, just wanted to say iPods are awesome. Go out and experience it for yourself. It's been a while. I'd recommend just syncing up an iPod and, enjoying the simplicity of music and just sitting back and relaxing at some point. Anyways, Lightning adapter news. It's now shipping, and we have confirmed reportings that it works with the Withings blood pressure monitor. And curious about other things like the camera connector kit and things like that. Another thing to note is the Lightning protocol does support USB peripheral hosting. So camera connector kits, things like that could, in the future, be direct connections rather than going through dongles. So that's a cool thing to just note. The last thing about this is Peter from Double Helix Cables tore down the adapter, and according to him, he had high hopes that he could get this thing to attach a direct audio output cable to, but that's not the case. The thing is more fiercely reinforced than the Lightning USB cord by a factor of 10, surely to thwart those that want to hack it. It also cannot be broken easily because of this. Nobody should balk at paying $29 for this after they see what is inside. Basically, as you look at the images, this thing is amazing what's packed inside. The DAC for audio output is one of the best they've seen. It's, quite frankly, really high quality materials in there. and a really high quality dongle. So $29 is a bargain for what you're getting inside of that. Next, let's move on to app news. First up is for the Mac. It's FotoMagical 4 by Boink Software. It's basically slideshows on steroids. In the new version 4, your creative possibilities have even been greatly enhanced with the addition of up to 6 layers of photos, videos, or titles, which can be animated independently. The audio can now be displayed as a waveform, which lets you sync sound and images more accurately. Very cool. And you can create template shows to get your work done even faster. And your slideshows look even more brilliant on the new MacBook Pro with Retina display. It's $100, simplifies the app down from a single edition, no more Pro, Standard, and things like that. If you're into slideshows and creating visual things, photos and music, that kind of stuff, it really is a great tool, and I'd recommend checking that out. Next up is the Magazine app by Marco Arment. This is a new newsstand app that is kind of the next generation of blogging, I would call it. According to Daring Fireball, they quote their description of it. Instead of the traditional labor-intensive magazine layout and expensive multimedia production, the magazine's article format is similar to Instapaper's one. Clean, adjustable, reader-friendly template with HTML, occasional images, and some small conveniences. Loads quickly, integrates well with sharing and system conventions, including text selection and voiceover, occupies minimal storage space, and shows the utmost respect of your time and attention. The magazine is leaving behind a lot of what magazines need, and many magazines really do need them, but I don't think this does. All this is a bit crazy, and it's not guaranteed to succeed, but I bet it will. So I downloaded this, and it looks really nice. It's iPhone and iPad supported. I'd encourage you to take a look at it. It's called The Magazine by Marco Arment. I'd encourage you to use Safari to find it. The App Store did not do a good job with that. So this is the Instapaper developer's latest creation. Looks to be a cool thing, and I'm curious how it shapes up. Next up in app news is Evernote for Windows Phone 7. It's been updated to version 2.5, includes full redesigns and improvements, such as the note list, helpful tips throughout the interface, and a more spacious layout from the note editor. So lots of cool things if you're a Windows Phone user. The last thing in app news is Classic Maps. It was an app that was available for just 2 days. It tried to mirror that of the old Maps app, which included Google support. And it was pulled from the App Store on Thursday. It basically was a knockoff of the Apple app. Reason 1, it was pulled. Reason 2, it might have used Google's API in a wrong fashion. I'm not surprised it was pulled. And the app, quite frankly, was not the best in the world. So we will see if other apps come out that use Google to try to supplement what we have with the Maps app. Next up are 2 cool things I found, or 3 cool things I found, and this will close out the show. The first cool thing I found is Groupon. Groupon is taking on Square with a new service called Breadcrumb. It runs on the Apple iPad, and client establishments pay $99 a month for this service, or $199 a month for 2 iPad kiosks. Larger restaurants get a discount with the cost of 5 iPads at $299 per month, up to 10 iPads at $399 per month. Clients can either buy their own iPads or purchase iPads through Groupon at cost. It integrates cash drawer, printer, and iPad, and it looks very much like the Square kiosk system. So it looks like a high-end version of that, and very interesting they're getting into it. So it's called Breadcrumb by Groupon. Next up is iCade. ThinkGeek, the creators of the iPad gaming cabinet, released the iCade 8-bitty Bluetooth-enabled controller. Its cost of $30 enables you to have a classic NES controller to integrate with your iPad system, and it integrates with Atari Classic Collection, and other apps will come out as time goes by. And it looks to be a very cool thing. So if you're into gaming, this is something to check out. Last of the day is 11.1 audio. Now this is rather cool. Expendables 2 on Blu-ray is the first Blu-ray to include this new DTS Neo X 11.1 system. According to Engadget, the extra channels come courtesy of this new DTS Neo X codec, which includes support for speakers in the front mounted both high and wide to create more of a 3D audio effect. They can simulate planes flying overhead or a car driving past, while those who have upgraded their receivers and added extra speakers will mostly experience the effect thanks to upmixing. It does allow for an 11.1 audio track with the extra channel info matrixed into a standard 7.1 audio track. So there you go. This is now a thing, and It's rather cool. iTunes is still at 5.1. I'm curious if they'll ever get higher than that. But yeah, I mean, Blu-ray's pushing the home theater grounds even more than it once was. So that is what's going on in the Apple world today, and I thought today's show was a rather fun one. I love talking about iPods and all the things we do. I should remind you that I do a show called iWake Again. I do this every weekend, so it's $10 a month. It helps you fund what you watch and listen to today. It's at iWakePodcast.com/again for more info. I also do videos at youtube.com/TCHATEN. And finally, if you'd like access to the script, that's also part of iWake Again at iWakePodcast.com/again. Thanks for listening or watching to today's episode. I will talk to everybody on Monday. I will talk to again subscribers on that would be tomorrow. So have a great weekend, and talk to everyone again real soon. Aloha.